Greetings and welcome back to the lab and welcome to Musical Monday. Last we left this, we got the oscillator board, well, we got the oscillators working. The oscillator board was a slightly different question, so it turns out what I need to do, I'm just going to launch right into this here. If you're not familiar with the project, it's basically building a musical keyboard from scratch using materials that I can order up, but not necessarily a traditional keyboard. This is actually done with circuit board material and electronic switches and what have you. So I'm working towards getting the first sounds out of this thing. This is what I call Keyboard Junior. The actual keyboard looks a little bit better. I'll link to the previous video, or I'll actually, there'll be a link to the entire series so you can see the development thus far. So like I said, launching back into it, last we left it, the circuit, I figured out what was wrong, and it turned out to be I need to replace one of these capacitors. But also, for the first note that I want to have, I need to tune it better, so I need to replace one of these resistors, and I got to figure that part of it out. So first off, let's go ahead and replace the capacitor, and I'll be right back when I'm done. Alright, that was a little bit of a battle because the old one didn't want to come out too easily. And then clearing the holes, they're really tiny holes because the old capacitor was a tiny little capacitor. So, but I did manage to get an electrolytic in there, and as far as I can tell, it should be negative on this side and positive on that side. So that is what I've gotten done there. And next up, we'll attack trying to get the, well, you know what? Before we do that, let's hook it up and make sure it still makes sound, and hope that it comes closer to a pure tone instead of the mess that I had before. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now we've got power connected and a speaker. I'll turn that upwards so you can hear it a little bit better. And because of the way this is all set up and the fact that it's all prototyping stuff, I've got to do a little bridge to simulate the switch. Ultimately, I will get it all working out with the switches, but I'm going to just connect this, and let's see. All right, we have a tone, and it doesn't sound as messy. So let's get the tone off the computer and see how much they mismatch. Okay, hopefully you can hear that warble. That's them being out of tune, but I'm happy with what I got there. So two more things I need to do actually. One, I need to fix the tuning, which the resistors I had put in were too low. They need to be higher. It actually turned out that the resistors I bought were not up to spec, but ultimately I need to figure out which to swap out and get that done. And then I also want to add another resistor for mixing. So I've got that all on the breadboard. I'll figure it all out and I'll be right back. I'm back and I've made a little update, and I thought about it for a little bit, and I decided to swap out the 1K pot for a 5K pot. The original design was saying 1K because I was trying to keep it within certain specs, but I think, well, it may have been more difficult to actually swap that out than it would have been to swap out the resistors themselves. All of this swapping is a little bit crazy. But let me clean up just slightly here. And let's go ahead and see what this sounds like. Okay, it's still functioning. That's a good thing. Now we got to see if we can tune it. And I'm going to have to play this sound, so I may turn this down in post just so it's not quite so annoying. But ultimately I need to play what I've got on the computer, which is the proper tone, and compare that with the other and try and tune it using my screwdriver on this little pot. Whoops. I just realized a problem here. So let me see if I can't run this across The main issue here is I've got a bridge too... Yeah, I got a bridge too far. Let's see if I've got a longer one. Maybe. I got to run this to here. I need another positive. The problem being that I need to be able to... Come on. There we go. What I was going to say is I need to be able to bridge it across and have it stay bridged, like if you're holding down a key on the keyboard. So that's what I'm going to do with that, and then we'll try and tune it. Getting closer. Uh-oh. Something is... Oh. It was only a 1-minute sample. Success. Yeah, I know that was annoying. But we got it. We got one. We got it in tune. So next up, I'm going to populate all of this with the appropriate resistors, and we'll do the same thing again with the next note. Now, what I've been thinking about while I've been working on all of this is Junior here only has 7 keys, and there are 12 notes technically in an octave. So I can't do if I don't do the sharps and flats, I just do the naturals. And since I'm starting with a C, I'm thinking I'm going to do C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So I'm only going to have whole notes, but in the key of C, all you have is whole notes, unless you're trying to do a minor or something else like that. So it'll be a reasonable test, and it'll give me a full octave, just only the naturals. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this next one populated, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see just how close or how far I am from a functioning D. We'll plug it in. We got something. Yeah, it's a little... okay. That is working. It gets to be a little bit annoying. But what I've also done while I was away was set up my computer with another tone. This one is... Oh, what did I figure this was? 293.66476679. That's really specific, but there is a way to actually calculate those. You can look them up in a reference table, or you can actually calculate. So the 1K pot is set for a little over 2% adjustability. And I did pick the resistors out of the pile to be as close as I could to the target. So what I've got is I've got R1 is a 1000 ohm resistor. R2 is comprised of a 22,000 and a 1500 ohm resistor. And like I said, I have a 1K pot. I still got the 0.1 microfarad capacitor, and I'm using a 10 microfarad for the decoupling. So now I've got all those numbers together. I've got something that's actually working. I'm going to plug this back in and try and tune it against the note that I have on the computer. Alright, as annoying as that is, as annoying as it is, I suspect that either I've got a bad batch of 1K pots or I'm too far out of range to get it to tune. So I'm going to go swap out this 1K for another 5K, which I bought as backups, and now they're becoming my primary. So let me give that a shot. I'll be right back. Actually, before I do that, it occurs to me there's one more thing I need to do, and that's to try the mixing. Now that I've got two oscillators functioning, even if one of them's out of tune, I still need to check the mixing, and what that'll also do is knock the volume down a bit so it's not quite so harsh when I'm trying to tune. I can always turn the computer down, the volume on the computer down. It's just I can't turn this one down with this particular speaker until I get into some other circuitry and what have you. So I'm going to go ahead and add the resistors that I need to do the mixing, and then we're going to test the mixing circuit. I'll be right back. All right, Junior is now hooked up. It's time to find out if the mixing circuit works or not. When I plug in, there shouldn't be any sound until I actually hit keys. That is the whole point of a keyboard, isn't it? Let's find out what happens. No sound yet. Yes! Okay, that one's off. But now, can I do them both at the same time? Never have I been so happy to hear such dissonance. That's a C and almost a D. So now I'm going to go back to fixing the problem with the D and getting that tuned, and we'll see where we go from there. Be right back. Now, if I've done this right, I've swapped out the 5K in there, and when I plug in power, I should be getting just that one tone that is off. And let me set up my computer real quick to give me... Now, I'm probably going to have to turn this down a bit on the computer. But what this will do ultimately is give me the tone I need and not at such a great volume, so it's a little less annoying to try and tune it. So let's give this a shot. Let's plug in some power. Like I said, I've got it wired up to just give me that one tone. That's why the keyboard's not here. And I got nothing. What did I do wrong? Okay, I got power. Got power going from here to there. Interesting. It's like something else has gone wrong now. I'm not getting either tone. So let's trace back the power real quick, otherwise we'll have to go away and come back again. Oh, there's the problem. Move this wire over here. And we have sound. So now I'm going to try and tune it. Okay, I think that's it. Get rid of that. Now if I've done it right, I've got two different tones. C, D, C, D. Okay, I should probably show you a little bit more of what I'm actually doing there. Let me pull up the schematic, not the schematic, but the layout of this thing so I can show you. I didn't actually label on the circuit board, and maybe I should do that now before I send it off, because I think I have verified that it does work, and now I can finally send off my latest revision to manufacturing and get the new ones made. But ultimately, on this particular header here, which is also the same over here, just reflected over there, and it's the same pins from 1 through 8 going down that way. In order, we've got positive, negative. I believe it's left, ground, and right for input, and then left, ground, and right for output. And what that does for me, the output's not being used here, or sorry, the input's not being used here, but if I were to take the output of this and I wanted to hook it to the input of another module, this module is strictly output. So I only need to have those particular 3 pins on the right side here, 6, 7, and 8, if you will. And it's just, like I said, it's the same over here. But ultimately, this module will output to another module, and so then that module will have to take it as an input. Now I've got to figure that one out. I was thinking that should be a standard on the header, but now that I think of it, when I plug in another module on top of this one, then the output of this module becomes the input of another module. So I've got to sort that part of it out. But as far as this module itself is concerned, input and output, I'm not doing any actual input, but I'm using the same 8 pins. So there will be some further information coming on that. I still have to work that part of the design out. Now down here, what we've got on this header is we've got the positive and negative on the top 2 pins. So let's say if we call this pin 1 through pin 5, and then pin 6 through 10. So 1 is positive and 10 is negative. Then you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 are respectively switch 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 6, 7, 8, and 9 are respectively switches 5, 6, 7, and 8. I hope that makes some sense, but it's basically just coming down and then going back up on the other side. So I put the 2 power pins up at the top, and then I use the others in sort of a U shape to create the interface for all of the switches. So that's a 10-pin header, that's 8 switches and power. That's what we've got here. I've got it tuned. This has been a battle, but I'm really happy to have multiple voices here. So I think the next step is I got to send this off, and then I got to figure out, do I really want to wire up Junior to do all 8 voices? Actually, Junior can only do 7 of the 8. But I think I may do that, but I've got to figure out what to do about these trim pots here that are not behaving properly. I'm going to have to do some kind of independent test just to verify if my 1Ks are okay. And I have to use my 5Ks instead, because the 5Ks are working beautifully right now. I had set it up for 1K in design, but the 5Ks are working better. So I may end up just ordering from somebody else, but I do want to find out whether I just ordered a box of duds or what. Anyway, that's it for now. Stay tuned. Next week we'll continue forward with this, and I'm a happy camper. I wish I could leave you with some music from this, but I'll leave you with something. Thanks for watching.